Peter from Wakefield Handmade here. Happy Flower Pot Friday. Got a little video I thought I'd do for you today about centering. I don't know if you've ever tried to center a piece of clay, but it is more difficult than it looks for most people. And it's actually more difficult for me right now than it normally is. I managed to slip on some icy steps and take a little tumble and bang up my shoulder the other day. So thankfully it's nothing serious, but it's a little bit sore. So it means I have to adapt a little bit and use different centering moves than what I would normally use. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about centering today, because it took me back to when I took my first pottery class in 1971, and like everybody else was having a terrible time centering. And when you're a newbie, you end up with your hands out in front of you like this, and they're just kind of riding on top of the clay, whatever shape it is. And the teacher, Marcia Manhart at Philbrook in Tulsa, gave me this stupidly simple advice that clicked for me though. She said, all you have to do is keep your hands in the same place and make the clay move. And so one of the ways that it's easier to do that is if you tuck your elbow into your body and use your body as ballast to move against the clay. If you've got everything happening out in front of you, then that puts all kinds of pressure on your shoulders, and that's what is difficult for me right now with my sore shoulder. I can't push this way very easily, so I'm adapting to tucking my elbow in and pushing on it like that. And this is 12 pounds of clay, so 2 different 6-pound lumps. So probably not exactly the greatest thing to be throwing with a sore shoulder, but I realized yesterday that I had forgotten to make a few of these for my pre-orders, so got to get them made so they can go out before March 1st. So centering, one of those things that it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you've done it, it's easier to do it again, and it's really sort of a eureka moment when you can do that. The other well, I guess the centering is sort of the first word that you learn in the language of pottery. And when you get that one pronounced right, you can start building on it to make full sentences. So I remember thinking, boy, if I could just center the clay, then I could make a pot. And of course, there are a whole lot of other things that have to come together to be able to make a pot, like is what we always call bringing it up, that I'm doing right now. And I'm having to hold my left arm a little bit differently than I normally would, but it's working, so with minimal discomfort. But here I'm distributing the clay from the bottom up to the top, making the piece taller. So you do probably 3, or with my shoulder the way it is, I'm doing 4 pulls with just my hands and the sponge. Because the thicker the clay that you're having to move, the more pressure you've got to put on it, so the more muscle you have to put into it. You can see I've got my pointer here, which tells me the height and diameter I want to go to. So I've got it, pretty good start there. Now I'm going to use this metal rib, which helps distribute the clay evenly. And you can see it's coming up in height quite a bit. Making a little bead here where there's going to be a dental motif, basically teeth motif This is a pot that's inspired by shards found at Bartram's Garden in Philadelphia. Got the rim just about all set up, and you can see it's come back down to be just right where I want it with the height and diameter. Working to get the water out of the bottom and to compress the bottom a little bit extra so that that reduces the chance of any cracking. So that is just about it. Give it one more pass with the rib to get the form just the way I want it. And then I'm ready for the ornamentation. This is a coggle. It's a piece of wood that has slats cut in it. This one was actually made by some friends of mine in Honduras, so it's made of Honduran hardwood, which is really wonderful to use. Sometimes I make them from clay, but you can see you just have to hold it up against it and the tool does its job. And then this is my coggle that says Wakefield Handmade on it, which I've been using for these spring pre-orders, which is sort of a traditional way of marking horticultural garden pottery. And I normally put a number on pots to show how many pounds of clay it was. Normally that's more towards the top with the stamp, but with these I'm just putting it down at the bottom. So there you have it. Thanks for watching.